Well, here we are, finally. Oh, hi everyone. Um, had a few technical difficulties this morning, and thank you for your patience. And unfortunately, Jim and the band had some wonderful music for you this morning, and it's just going to have to be saved to another week. So, for those of you that are still here, um, let's take a deep breath. And let's pray. So we breathe in. We breathe in and we breathe out consciously and deeply in this moment, letting go of all that it took to bring us to this moment. Giving thanks that in spite of frustration sometimes with 21st century technology, that it comes through and allows us to feel the connection, the heart-to-heart connection that we are at Unity of Gaithersburg. So thank you for tuning in this morning. Thank you for your patience as we navigate these technical things. And here we are to share time together, love together, connection and oneness together. And for this time, we are so grateful. And so it is. Amen. So this morning we have some transformational opportunities for you. And here they are. We have a special announcement this morning about a very special graduate named Naima Graham. Our dear Naima is graduating from high school. She has graduated from high school, rather, and she is going to be attending Virginia Commonwealth University this fall. Naima has been such a shining, bright light in our youth program. And Naima, we just want you to know how proud we are of you. And we're so grateful to have had just a little small part of your journey to share that with you. And thank you for shining your light with us. Woohoo! We're so proud. So during this time of suspended in-person activities here at Unity of Gaithersburg, just a reminder to check out our Facebook page, our newsletter, and website to keep current on updates. On Wednesday afternoons from 5 to 6 p.m. on Zoom, again, we're offering our Hump Day Happy Hour. It is so much fun. If you just want some lighthearted fun and connection, tune in from 5 to 6 on Wednesdays. To sign up, go to the event on our Facebook page and click going. You can also email admin@unityofgaithersburg.org to register. Starting this Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., I am going to begin every Wednesday a Zoom midweek morning meditation. It's just a brief meditation for us to center and to ground and move forward in our day in that centered, mindful, grounded place. So please join me on Zoom this Wednesday at 9 a.m. To sign up, email admin@unityofgaithersburg.org or reply going on our Facebook page to get the Zoom link. Our Zoom community chats are continuing on Sunday afternoons from 4 to 5:30. And this is for those who like to come together, check in, and have spiritual conversation. Today's topic is talking about race. Let's come talk about it. And click on the meeting link found in the newsletter or in the event posted on our Facebook page. See you soon. Our community meeting is today at 12:15. So please check your email for the link to come to the meeting. I really think you want to come. We have lots of things to catch you up on. There's been a lot going on as we haven't been meeting in person. And so to RSVP, send an email to admin@unityofgaithersburg.org. Actually, I think Edie has already sent the links out So please look for that in your email. And if for some reason you want to attend and have not received that link, please email Edie at admin@unity@gaithersburg.org. And lastly, I highly recommend a 6-week ongoing class. It's an online class and discussion based on the book by Ibram Kendi, How to Be an Anti-Racist. The facilitators are Reverend Kelly Isola and Reverend Ogun Holder, who were just here on our SEE faculty. The class dates are Tuesdays starting June 16th through July 14th from 7:30 to 9 p.m. This class teaches how to go beyond an awareness of racism to the next step of contributing to the formation of a truly just and equitable society. Offered for a love offering. If you can't find our hard copy or paperback version of the book, it is downloadable on Kindle and audiobook. To sign up, see the event on our Facebook page and click going. And now, please center yourself as we reflect on our daily word. And today's focus is connection. And the affirmation is, my heart and mind are open as I compassionately connect with others. I'll repeat that. My heart and mind are open as I compassionately connect with others. In the prayer of St. Francis, we're encouraged to seek first to understand. To do so, especially in moments of upset, I turn to quiet contemplation. My mind becomes still, and I am lifted to a higher perspective. I am then able to tap into new awareness and connection as clarity is revealed from my higher mind. I connect with others through compassion, understanding, and love. With an open heart and mind, I take time to consider another person's opinion and what is happening in another's life. I generously listen. I seek to understand rather than be understood. As a member of the human race, I commit to seeing my brothers and sisters in the light. As I embody this heart wisdom, I hold compassion for all of humanity. And from James chapter 1, verse 19, you must consider this. Let everyone be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. And now let us take a deep breath once again and gently close our eyes if we feel comfortable. And let's just center in a time of stillness and meditation. So I just invite you to take a deep breath and follow that deep breath with 2 more deep breaths. And begin to focus all of your awareness and attention on following the movement of the breath as it enters your body and as it exits. Just follow that gentle movement of the natural breath. And I invite you now to Focus the breath into the space of the mind where busy thoughts are fluttering. Just focus your breath in and out of the space of your mind. Just breathe into that space and breathe out. And just notice if the busy thoughts there seek to distract your attention and focus from simply breathing into them. And just gently and compassionately focus on the breath, moving in and out of the space of the mind. And now gently move the breath in and out of your physical heart space. Gently shift, focusing on the breath, moving in and out of your heart center now. Just gently move that focus down into your heart center now. Just focus the breath as it moves in and out of your heart center. And as we move now into a time of silence, I invite you to just simply continue this focus, moving the breath in and out of your heart center in the silence. As we breathe into our mind and as we breathe into our heart, we free up space to be open and receptive to learn. We free up space to love, to be compassionate, to listen. We shift our focus away from the thoughts that distract us from being present and ready and available, open to each other, open to conversation, humble willing, available. And so let us take one more deep breath into our heart center. And then take one more breath into the mind space. And allow ourselves to continue to stay in this space of availability, of openness and receptivity. And so it is. Amen. Oh, I needed that meditation this morning. Once again, I have a shout out to Keith Mounts for moving me through this little technical difficulty this morning. For some reason, it would not go live from Zoom this morning. So here we are. And we just send some love to Jim Goldstein and the band for all the work that they did to prepare. And we'll hear from them soon. So I'm continuing to delve deeper into this book by Ijeoma Oluo. So you want to talk about race. I think it's a great starting point, at least it has been for me, to open up to a deeper understanding and just educating me on how to have conversations, how to explore white privilege. And so there's just so much to learn, and I have made it my personal mission to educate myself and to heal so that I can truly be an ally to the Black, Indigenous, people of color community. And I've realized as I'm starting to learn more and more how much I don't know, and how much I don't know that's been the experience of people of color day in and day out in their entire lives. And it makes me incredibly sad, and I can't stay there. If I'm going to be ally, which I'm committed to being, I get to have my sadness and at the same time not dwell there. I have to keep educating myself and then take action to create a more just world. I get to do better and be better. And part of the actions I and all of us white people who want to forward equity and justice for people of color have to be willing to have are conversations about race. And yes, these can be difficult conversations with fellow white people and people of color. And as Ijeoma Oluo says, not all of us are lucky enough to have conversations on race with white people willing to take the emotional risk of investing the role they play in upholding racism. These conversations, when done wrong, can do real damage. Friendships can be lost, holidays ruined, jobs placed in jeopardy. For this reason, many people avoid the topic of race altogether and recoil when it's brought into conversation. I had one of those conversations this past week. It was with someone I have known since the 80s who lives in a very rural area and works in a very remote, isolated job. And we haven't seen each other in over 20 years. And we met when I worked for the airlines and speak on the phone rarely. So we're a bit out of touch with how each other sees the world. Although this person would say he knows exactly how I see the world. And honestly, I have judgments about how I think he sees the world. Well, we both lived into those judgments in this conversation. And I wanted to talk about how we as white people perpetuate racism by not checking our white privilege. And the very mention of white privilege had him recoil and get angry and defensive. He talked about how he didn't grow up wealthy and he didn't go to college, but has worked hard for everything he has. And that fact alone makes him impervious to the idea that all of us don't have the same opportunities. If he can get ahead, anyone can. The American dream. I tried to delve into the idea that even though both of us have worked hard, we still have had advantages that we take for granted simply because we're white. I wanted us to talk about that. He wouldn't go there. I got frustrated. He got frustrated. And as we kept talking, I knew I was not going to get through, and the conversation was escalating to a heated place where nothing else could be heard. The door had closed to having a productive, much less enlightening conversation that I was certainly hoping for. I realized I needed more coaching and how to have these conversations. So hence this talk today. If we're going to make changes in systemic racism, we have to be able to talk about race. Race and racial tensions, animosity, and pain are all around us, and we just can't ignore it any longer. We have to put ourselves out there as white people especially and have these difficult conversations. There's no turning back now. And as the author of the book says, there's no shoving the 400 years of racial oppression and violence toothpaste back in the toothpaste tube. Ignoring race conversations perpetuates inequity and injustice. So what are some pointers for us to use when having race conversations? I'm going to let Ijeoma Oluo's wisdom be our guide today. First and foremost, she issues an indisputable fact. We are going to screw it up royally, and we will do so more than once. This is not to discourage us, it's to prepare us. And just like anything else we're committed to doing that's new, we get to allow a learning curve. We have to learn, and part of learning is really screwing things up. But when we do, we dust ourselves off and we try again because we're committed. We're committed to heal. We're committed to end oppression for our brothers and sisters of color. And however, it would be great to learn and prepare the best we can for these kinds of conversations so we maybe don't screw up as often, right? So here are the author's tips to us, primarily to us white folks. Before initiating a conversation on race, check in with yourself. Why are you having this conversation? What's motivating you? Why does it matter to you? In other words, be clear about your intentions. When the conversation begins, state those intentions. And that's exactly what I did not do in this conversation this past week. I just launched. It didn't work well. So when we begin the conversation and we state our intention, then the person with whom we are wanting to engage has the opportunity to choose whether they want to engage or not. They might not want to, and we need to hold space for that. Also, they might have different intentions for being in the conversation, and that's when there can be a clash as their intentions might be at odds with ours. And that just lays the groundwork for the conversation to end in frustration, anger, and resignation. The next point is, don't let your emotions take over. Remember what your top priority is in the conversation. So often we can start a conversation with a good intention to understand race better or to right a wrong, but it can quickly get sidetracked if someone feels the need to defend or is all about their own sadness, guilt, or shame. The top priority isn't about avenging or staying stuck in our own pride or wounds. And this is when I'm interjecting something, I feel like it's really important for those of us who are white to process our stuff together. I had a conversation with a very close friend yesterday that really brought this home for me, because this particular friend and I are both very committed to this process of healing and to being an ally. And so I feel like we as white people need to bring people around us who are committed to healing, who are committed to being an ally to people of color, to process our feelings together instead of processing it with people of color. We need to process it together as white people. And we need to also understand how embedded this is in our bodies. We need to process this together so that we can then engage in conversations and not make it all about our fragility. The next point the author makes is for us to educate ourselves, do our own research. If you're going to be talking about a race issue, read up on it, Google it. Don't depend on the people of color around you to educate you. Care enough to know what you can about the issue at hand. We don't need to be handheld. Let's do the work. Don't take your anger about racism out on other groups. Yes, there's a lot to be angry about when learning and talking about racism. However, please remember not to challenge racism with sexism, transphobia, ableism, or other oppressive ideas, languages, or actions. We get to take a stand against all forms of oppression in our society. She says, pay attention to yourself as you engage in the conversation and notice when you start to feel defensive. So we get to be mindful. We get to pause, breathe. When we start to feel defensive, we need to just look within and ask ourselves, why are we getting defensive? Why are you feeling the need to defend? This is a valuable self-inquiry. It can inform us of where we're needing to grow and learn. We get to ask ourselves, what's really being threatened here? What about this conversation am I taking personally? Have I shifted away from my top priority, my intention for this conversation, and instead now feel the need to defend my ego? This can happen to all of us. The opportunity we have is to be self-aware and to do self-reflection so we can learn more about ourselves and others. Because when we go there, we're no longer listening. We're no longer authentic because we're not really saying what we need. The next point is, as white people, we get to let go of the tendency to be the tone police. As a person of color shares what has been uncomfortable for them, it's not their job to make us feel comfortable by censoring their tone. It is not their job to make us feel comfortable. And be mindful as a white person having a race conversation, how many times you hear yourself say, I and me. Systemic racism impacts more than individuals. It's not about you or not about us, not about me. It's not about us and our personal feelings. And always check in and ask yourself, am I trying to be right or am I trying to do better? As white people, hopefully we engage in these kinds of conversations to learn and to do better and to be better. This isn't about scoring points or making ourselves feel better. Let's be humble and willing to learn every time we talk about race with another person. And please do not push a person of color to engage in a conversation about race. People of color are walking around exhausted and in pain because they live with racism every single day. They have absolutely no say about when and where it will impact them. Let's be mindful of this as white people. As much as we want to learn and do better, let's never demand that a person of color engage in conversation with us. Ijoma Aluo says that even though we might use all of these tips, we can have a conversation that falls apart and that it's important to learn how to fail at it. It's important to learn how to be wrong. It's important to learn how to navigate being wrong with minimal pain to you and others. And in the process, maximize what there is to learn from the experience. Here are some tips she gives us when a conversation about race falls apart. Boy, could I have ever used these this past week. Here are the points. So when a conversation is falling apart, don't try to keep it going by jumping back in. Don't force it. Don't try and make a resolution happen because sometimes it just can't. And it can feel very difficult to leave things hanging. But it's best to step away, take a deep breath, and explore what went wrong. Maybe the conversation can be revisited in the future when things have calmed. After self-reflection, there could be spaciousness and the ability to be more productive and mindful again. Apologize. After reflecting, if you can see where you missed the mark by making assumptions, by being defensive, by hurting someone, take responsibility and apologize and really mean it. And take caution to not write off a conversation by labeling it the time I got yelled at. Remember what your intention was going into it. Remember why you wanted to engage in the first place and what was in your heart. And hold steadfast to that instead of labeling it the time I tried to have a race conversation and got yelled at for trying and it felt horrible. If the conversation you initiated went in a direction that ended up hurting people, don't insist that people act less hurt, offended, or angry because you went into it with a good intention. It's remembering it's not all about us and how we want things to be. Even though we as good people are trying to do the right thing, doesn't mean we always hit the mark. And it isn't the job of the people being impacted every day with racism to make us feel better. And please don't beat yourself up. Please be gentle with yourself. It's easy to feel horrible when you have a good intention and it falls short. It's easy to feel frustrated when you're not communicating like you want to be. It's easy to feel guilt and go to the place of, I can't make a difference. But this is our time to reflect and learn. This is our time to learn from our mistakes so we can do and be better. And lastly, let's remember that it's so worth the risk of messing up. It's worth it to care and engage in these kinds of conversations. So let's stay committed to being in action to shift the system that keeps racism in place. Because, folks, racial oppression will always be an emotional thing to talk about. It should stir us at our core. It should evoke strong emotions because it's not okay for our brothers and sisters of color to be oppressed. It's just not okay. As white people, we have to share the burden that people of color have carried for so long. The author ends this by inviting all of us, white people and people of color, to engage in conversations about race. We all get to examine I internalized racism. And she reminds us to take care in these conversations as we are dealing with the real hurt of others. She calls us to be brave and honest in that care, and to know that although they may not be easy, these conversations will eventually get easier. They will never be without pain, but they have the possibility to lessen future pain. They will always be risky, but that risk is always worth it. So This week, I just invite you to delve into exploring how to have conversations on race. And I really want to encourage you, purchase this book and follow the guidance, because it's up to us to educate ourselves, to do better and be better. And again, I want to encourage white folks to seek out your trusted friends to join you in processing whatever grief you have, whatever process you have, so that you can be available to people of color. It's vital that you talk about what you feel. It's vital how you talk about how embedded this has been in your process, so that you can go and be in conversation with people of color and not have it be about your emotions. So, folks, we have to talk so we can begin the journey of really listening and learning and healing the wounds caused by systemic racism, so that we can together create a just and equitable world for all. This is not a pie in the sky vision. No, I believe it's possible and ours to stand for and do our part to unfold. So let's affirm together. I learn. I listen. I set the intention to co-create a world that works for all. I have compassionate, mindful conversations that move this vision forward. And now this is our time to give from my unlimited abundance and open hearts. So for those of you joining us via YouTube this morning, thank you for going to our website or newsletter to give your gifts online or text to give. Here is some prosperity wisdom from Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. Dare to conceive of greater things. Dare to see and speak strength, confidence, success, patience, and stability. Keep moving in the direction of your dreams. Diligently work to think and speak the constructive word, and hold the creative success image in mind. And your life will begin to vibrate with the dynamic power of prosperity. So as we give online, we affirm this offering blessing. Divine love, I am, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am so grateful. So thank you for tuning in this morning. Thank you again for your patience with our technical difficulties. And I look forward to seeing you all on our Zoom, at our Zoom community meeting in 15 minutes. Bless you all. Have a beautiful week.